With the holidays coming up and Canadians thinking about the gifts to give, one investor says stocks are a great option. Thomas Caldwell says instead of buying someone a gift card, why not purchase a company's stock instead? This comes as investing has gained popularity since the start of the pandemic, with plenty of options to choose from cryptocurrency to meme stocks. Well, joining us now to tell us more about the benefits of gifting stocks is Thomas Caldwell, chair of Caldwell Securities Ltd. Mr. Caldwell, welcome back to Forum Daily.
Thank you, Nima.
Now, as we mentioned, you believe that instead of buying someone a gift card, it's better to purchase stocks in a company instead. So, can you tell us a little bit more about why this might be a better option?
Well, it really depends on the recipient, doesn't it? I'm at the stage where my children and grandchildren just prefer hard cash. So it really depends on the recipient. Although when my children were younger, I did buy them some shares in companies that they might be interested in, like Disney, for example, or even Canadian Tire, something that they could start to relate to and think in terms of how a business functions. So it's a combination gift educational thing, but clearly it really depends on the age. I mean, if you're giving your 2-year-old a gift of Bank of Montreal, I don't think they'll really appreciate it. But I think it's a good thing to do from both an awareness of how the world works, companies that are out there. You can own a little bit of this company. I think that makes some real sense. For people, or in the case of my children and grandchildren, hard cash is the preference, it seems, these days.
Well, how can Canadians go about gifting stocks? Is it a difficult process?
It's a little bit challenging. Gifting stocks is somewhat different because if you're gifting stocks to anyone, it's considered a deemed disposition. That is, as if you sold it. So you will have either capital gains or capital loss considerations to think of. Also, if you give stock, or that is gifted to a minor, then the dividends from that stock are attributed back to you as your income for a long period of time. I don't know how long until they're over the age of majority. I just don't know. So I think it's very difficult giving stock. I think it's far better to have the cash in the account and buy the stock for them. That's a lot simpler.
Now, another thing to consider, I've heard you speak about gifting stocks to charities. So that's really interesting. How's that done? And is there any benefit or loss to the investor?
There's a tremendous advantage to that. Basically, Don Johnson, I think, got his Order of Canada for really piloting that through the tax department. So if you give marketable securities, that is publicly traded stocks, to a charity, a recognized charity, you get the deduction from that charity as a tax deduction. And also the benefit is you do not get tagged with the capital gains on that. So I mean, let's say just in big numbers, you have $1 million worth of securities, and $900,000 of that is capital gains. It's a company that did extremely well over the years. Well, you get $1 million tax deduction, and you don't get tagged with the capital gain part of it. So it's an immense benefit um, donating publicly traded shares to a recognized charity. That's a great advantage. It's probably the best way to go about doing it.
Really good advice there, sir. Now, what about tax loss selling? I know a lot of investors might be thinking about that right now. Is this the time to plan your portfolio for the end of the year?
Well, first, let me say, whenever I've done something or not done something for tax purposes, it's always been a mistake. I get frustrated with the stock. Okay, I'm going to sell it and get rid of it and take the loss. I shouldn't be thinking in emotional terms, nor should I be thinking in tax terms. The first thing I should think of is, do I still want to own this company? Does it still have possibilities? If the answer to that investment side of the question is such, no, I think this is over, this company's not going to do well, fine, take the tax loss. Or if you're going to engineer a tax loss, um, for example, I might have a loss, say, in a bank stock. If you want to take that loss in a bank stock, you might buy another bank stock. I mean, switch from TD to Commerce or something like that. That's a possibility. All I'm suggesting is you take a look at the investment possibilities before you jump to the tax loss. Because if the company's not going to do well, the tax loss is always going to be there. It's not going to go away if the company does not do better. Whether you take it this year or next year, that's a part of financial planning, of course. But don't make the tax loss the sole purpose for doing it, because very often I've sold a stock, or haven't sold a stock. I haven't bought it, haven't sold it because I'm up so much money and I don't want to pay taxes. And same thing, taxes or impacted my investment decision. First thing first is the investment decision.
Always some great advice. And Mr. Caldwell, thank you again for joining us today on Forum Daily.
Thank you, Nima. All the best.